series of climactic emotional moments that connects and fulfills the storyline. That's where the mie moment comes into play. So, in Kabuki, we now have the influence of the Noh theater and its staging sort of requirements being fused with the notion of storytelling and spectacle of the doll theater. So that's where we kind of get the kind of completion of the journey between these two forms to really kind of create the influence of Kabuki. And Kabuki, again, is still quite a popular form, albeit it probably has a very similar regard to it as opera, because it is expensive. There's a sort of an elitist sort of mentality to it in some respects. But some of the characteristics of the performances are that these characters, their visual look, their headpieces, their costumes, all of that, the way they move, all of that makes them instantly recognizable as certain kinds or types or classifications of characters. And all of that is very specifically symbolic. And some of the shogun and samurai costumes, yep, they can weigh up to 60 pounds. So, I mean, one costume in Kabuki can cost around $10,000, depending upon how elegant the silk is and all of that sort of stuff. So it is not a subtle art form in any way, shape, or form, which makes it a very distinct contrast to the subtlety in which Noh theater was valued. So, just a couple other things. As you saw, very stylized, meaningful movement library, two-dimensional sets with the musicians. Most, well, not all, I was reading somewhere that said that oftentimes, particularly the longer Kabuki plays, would be scheduled to start at like 6 in the morning and run all day, so that you would be seeing, 11, 12 hours of these theater performances sometimes with a couple of breaks. That's very much the case with Chushingura's 11-act 47 Samurai, okay? 47 Faithful Ronin Avenge Their Master. And this is an 11-act play that takes approximately 14 hours to perform in its entirety. Okay?
You better eat breakfast beforehand.
Yeah. Well, it kind of is something that needs to be prepared for and ramped up to. But those same sort of, hereditary lineages that, can be traced back hundreds and hundreds of years to the sort of specifically licensed Kabuki performances, specifically licensed Noh theaters, and their training facilities. And I read somewhere that even with the doll theaters, that, for example, a Noh theater performer, much like an opera performer, will have very little rehearsal time because they're expected to know the role and be able to kind of step into the role without a lot of outside influence. And so if you think about it, if the shite is one person's requirement, and all of that is kind of consistently being intoned and presented in the same way, it kind of can make sense. But again, the hereditary linkage of these genres goes back centuries. All right. So, end of part 1 today. Any questions?
Something else.
Okay. So let's take a break, and when we come back, I'll tell you about Sanskrit.
All right. That enthusiasm was on point, man.